Hello and welcome to today's episode of TSARP. I'm your host, Andrew Weir, and today our special guest is Steven. So, as you probably saw in the title, today we're going to be talking about the Bing and ChatGPT crossover. So, Bing is integrating ChatGPT into their search engine. So basically, it's going to be an advanced way of searching the internet that is ChatGPT, but it's all up to date on the latest information. So, right now, if you go on ChatGPT and you say, "What happened yesterday?" like give me a summary of what happened yesterday, it's going to say, "I have no idea," because it only has information from 2021 and before that. But what's cool is it's going to know everything from yesterday. It's going to cite it from other places, and then it's going to say, okay, yesterday, this is all the stuff that happened. But instead of a search engine where it gives you links to articles written by people, it's just a paragraph written by ChatGPT based on information it found from those links. So it's a cool way of tying the two things together. Um, and you might be wondering, like, so if Bing's doing this, what is Google doing to combat it? Well, Google's been developing their own chat AI for I think the past 2 years. They've been really working hard on it. So there's speculation that they're going to do the same thing Bing's doing, but no actual formal announcement yet. So right now, the biggest game in town to get this type of software is Bing. So you're probably wondering, how do I get it? How do I sign up? So right now it's in beta, but like very like small beta. So you can't get it as of this moment, but you can go to bing.com and you can um, click the try it button under the search engine, and then you can do access the new Bing faster and then follow the instructions to go on the wait list. And if you want to get it faster than that, you can make Microsoft your default for Bing, so your default engine Bing, which doesn't mean that Edge is your browser. It just means you could be on Chrome, but instead of using Google, use Bing. It's totally up to you. I mean, both are pretty much very similar, but there are differences. So it's up to you. But you will get it You will get the beta faster if you use Bing instead of Google. So you also have to download the Microsoft Bing app on your phone, and that will make it go even faster. And then hopefully soon we can all be trying it out, and hopefully it's good. There's been very small, like actual shown footage of what it can do. But Microsoft held a conference where they invited a bunch of people from all different media, and they kind of documented like what it can do. So yeah, there's a bunch of videos out there, a bunch of articles, so you can look at all those. But yeah, so it's gonna be cool once it's out. Steven, what do you think of it?
So I think it's a nice idea, but I like Chrome better. And, there's a war between people who use Chrome and people who use Bing.
Well, yeah, you can still use Chrome. It's just you'll be switching from the Google browser or
Yeah,
Google
that's
search
what I'm
engine.
saying. It's so like for someone who kind of likes this stuff, like finds it interesting, it'd be really inconvenient having to switch just to use chat AI. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
And I did say earlier that Bing is like the biggest one doing this. There are already ones out there that basically do the same thing Bing does, but or is what Bing's trying to do. Like I know we've actually talked about one in the past called U.com, where it's a search engine with like a chat GPT like function in it. So if you don't want to switch to Bing just because you have something totally against Bing, you could use that, and you could use it right now. But since we don't have the Bing AI version right in front of us, we can't really compare the two. But trust me, as soon as we get our hands on the beta, we will be comparing the two and talking a lot more about it. But yeah, we've been following the whole AI ChatGPT thing pretty much from the start. And it's really interesting to follow because there's so many, and I mean so many different versions out there of AI. Some not as good, some good, but different. Like some like ChatGPT are so general, and then there's some that AIs that specifically do one thing. But what's cool about this crossover and integration is that it's a search engine with AI and brings all the up to date info, but is all in like a chat GPT format. But the one thing that you might want to pay attention to is I believe if you put a prompt in there, like write me an essay, I don't know if it's going to do it. I suspect it's gonna because it's like ChatGPT. But it might end up being plagiarized. So you
Yeah.
just got to be careful. But supposedly it will reword everything and put it into its own words and only use websites as like its source and not to just copy and paste things. So you should be safe. But again, don't use ChatGPT or any of this to cheat in school because that's not good. But if you were doing this for something else, it might have stuff in there that you don't want it to, like plagiarism. But what is good for writing stuff like essays and other things is it can now really cite things. So if you said, give me an essay about the Revolutionary War and cite all your sources to ChatGPT, what it's is gonna give you fake sightings. So it's gonna give you fake authors and fake like page numbers and fake links. But with this, it's going to give you real links, real authors, and real sources that it actually pulled the information from. So there's compromises, and you're just going to have to double check that there's no plagiarism. As long as there's no plagiarism, this thing could be a lot better than ChatGPT is. But then again, there's other tools out there that do exactly that. So it's a very competitive space and definitely one that you would like to monitor. And that's why we talk about it a lot on this podcast. And if it's too much for you to keep up with, just listen every day. We talk about it a lot. Even in episodes that have nothing to do with it, it always finds its way in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's why in a bunch of videos we make jokes about like, okay, and the bonus tip is use ChatGPT because that's kind of like what it is. It can really do a ton of different things. But I was actually using it today, and it was giving me wrong answers like over and over again. So that kind of just shows how it's not too smart yet. Hopefully with this new browser add-on thing that it will be maybe even a little more smarter because it has that past data set and then it's getting a ton of new data too. So it might even be smarter now. And the other thing is, I don't know if they're training the data set on more data just because it has access to more. Like, but what I mean by that is instead of saying, like, okay, read this article and give me info, it's reading that article, giving me info, but then telling the database, like, hey, I found a bunch of new info. So I don't know if it's doing that. If it is, or if it's gonna, it would be training that data set a ton more and becoming smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. So it is definitely something you want to watch and hear about, and that's why we talk about it all the time. Well, I hope
Yeah.
this information taught you about what's going on and keeps you up to date, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.